Hello again, folks. Nice to see you all. Jim Dowson here, guest presenter with the Templar COVID-19 report, seeing you right through to the bitter end. We promised you we would, our men of a word. So nice to see you all. We have a special guest today, Mr. Nicholas J. Griffin, one-time leader of the BNP, the most successful nationalist party in Britain, if not Europe. He disputes it, but I think Europe. How are you, Mr. Griffin?
Fine, thank you, Jim. And yeah, I'll correct you for a moment there. I'd say the most successful in the Anglosphere. So forget about Europe. That includes Australia, yes, Canada, little point of America as well. So yeah, not bad.
It's not bad going. And it's a pleasure to have you on here, Mr. Griffin. Nice to see you. Now, I've got to apologise to the ladies and gentlemen today because I've got this hideous eye infection that people keep saying is COVID. But I'm struggling to see out it. They're not very good at the best of the time, as you well know, Mr. Griffin. They don't really work. But it's just like I'm looking through a net curtain. So I'm going to try and read a wee bit of scripture, if you don't mind. And this is a brilliant bit. So if you've got a pen, write this passage down because it's really good. It's in 2 Timothy chapter 4. Chapter 4. And it's young Timothy's obviously receiving instructions. So I'll start from the very beginning. 1. I charge thee therefore before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearance and his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And then paraphrasing it, it means the time will come when the people in the church won't want good preachers, sound men. They will bring in ear ticklers just to tell them what they want to hear. And if you don't believe me, switch on the God channel or any of these religious channels and you'll see the churches, stadiums, 50,000 people listening to absolute imbeciles because that's what they want to hear. Have you seen that, Mr. Griffin, these crackpots?
I have indeed, yes.
It's quite terrifying, but that's what people want. And I would also say it, and I don't know if you'd agree, Mr. Griffin, but it stretches into the political world. People now don't want men like you. They want buffoons, clowns who tell them exactly what they want to hear.
Yeah, especially when what they want to hear is, don't worry, you don't have to do anything at the moment.
Yeah.
It'll be fine in the future.
It'll all be,
people are very, very happy to hear that message.
Absolutely. Well, let me just say hello to a few people who's online here, and we'll crack into this, Mr. Griffin. Who's in? Oh, I don't know if I can even see that today. I can see Jonathan, how you doing? I can see Donald Pollock, Kenneth Driver, good to see you. Scott Riash, Wes McFarland, Eternal Asquith, how you doing? Nice to see you. Who else have we got? Colton Straight, how you doing? I spoke to you earlier, brother. Good, and God bless you. Nice to see you. Yeah. Okay, who else we got? Neville Walker. Tara Templeton, how you doing, Tara? Yes, thank goodness it's Friday. Yeah, Scott Rash, pink eye. Yeah, I've got it. Oh, it's killing me. It's driving me mad. But anyway, we'll do all right. Don't worry about that. Listen, it'll take a lot more than Kung Flu to kill off this wee Ulster Scot. I can tell you that. So don't be worrying too much for me. Okay, well, Mr. Griffin, as you know, today is a very sad day for British people. And this is the day back in 2013 that drummer Lee Rigby was butchered in a London street with hundreds of people watching and nobody coming to his aid. Tried to two mad Muslim fanatics tried to decapitate him in the middle of a London street. This guy here actually made a video that went out on the news saying why he'd done it. Quite shocking. It shocked the whole world. There's Lee Rigby there, young father, young soldier, coming back from the gym or something, and was mown down and then hacked to pieces on a London street, broad daylight. That was in 2013. And then in 2017, we have this horrific scene, the Manchester bombing. 30-odd people, kids killed by this guy. Is it Suleiman Abadi? Yeah, this guy. What's your feelings today, Mr. Griffin, when faced with this?
Well, as you say, it's a very sad day, Jim. I suppose we can be grateful for the fact that it hasn't happened since, and always in the expectation that at some stage or another it will. So I suppose the different feelings about the two different events, actually. I think the Lee Rigby murder was something which was effectively out of the blue. What the state did about the background of the killing afterwards is a grotesque failure, which perhaps we'll talk about in a minute. The 2017 bombing, on the other hand, is a completely different thing. The Lee Rigby murder was about a group of crazed Islamist extremists doing what they do. The Manchester Arena bombing was done by, in effect, a cell which had been incited, encouraged, and in a remote fashion trained by the British government, by David Cameron. So it's a completely different thing. And the Manchester Arena scandal is still a huge injustice waiting to be sorted out, which may never be.
Well, I agree with you, and I'll just fill the people in. I don't know the whole story. We don't have time to get into all the stuff we do know. But this guy, Al-Baidi, he belonged to a mosque where literally dozens of men had went to go and fight jihad in Syria. They all knew about him, but it gets worse. This guy had been flying an ISIS flag from his window of his house in a housing estate in the projects, flying an ISIS flag. He was out in the street ranting and raving about jihad. Neighbours had phoned the police on many occasions about this guy, and the neighbours were told, "You're racist, stop complaining about this guy." Neighbours were threatened with arrest because they were behaving in a racist manner towards this man by reporting his antics. So for the government to say, how can we keep an eye on all these people? They knew fine well. But I also heard, Mr. Griffin, I don't know if it's true, this guy had been brought back on a frigate, a Royal Naval frigate, from Libya by the government.
This is the key point. Not just that he was brought back on a Royal Naval frigate from the government, but the fact that he and members of his family and members of the gang that he was involved with were encouraged to go to Libya by the British security forces, MI5 and MI6 in particular, in 2011, when the Cameron government, this is why I mentioned Cameron in particular, was using jihadis as a weapon system to overthrow the government of Colonel Gaddafi. So this is a classic example of blowback. They thought that they could use these terrorists over there, and then when they came home, they'd be so grateful that everything would be fine, and they'd leave the British people alone. So the blood of the 22 murdered in Manchester aren't just on the hands of the killer and his brother, but quite literally on the hands of the Cameron regime and their security services, who encouraged that cell to go out and become terrorists in Libya, and then allowed them back to Britain.
It's quite disgraceful. Now listen, like the video, click subscribe, press the bell, comment below, and share. Remember, you are the resistance. Help us share the message. Yes, Nick, I think it's very difficult for people to comprehend the level of complicity that our security forces have with the jihadis. It's quite remarkable. And of course, the Americans have seen it all before. They trained Osama bin Laden. They trained the Mujahideen, who then became the Taliban, to fight the Russians. And now Britain and America have spent the last 25 years trying to put a lid back in that box. Look, Afghanistan, us Brits used to have an empire. We know all about Afghanistan. My great uncle and his brother were fighting in the Khyber Pass in 1938, and his brother was killed up there fighting the Pashtuns. So we know all about it. Alexander the Great said he gave up on it. He said, these people they're just beyond belief. I'm fed up with them. Leave them. Just leave them. Let's just bypass it. And he got his wife from up there, Roxanne, but Alexander the Great gave up on them. He said, these people just fight. That's all they do. So it's so stupid that our governments would launch these very foolhardy expeditions against these people. And as you say, blowback. Nearly all of the terrorists that are blowing us up and killing us were trained by our own governments. It's incredible, isn't it?
It is. And where they're not trained by our governments, the other factor in coming back to the Lee Rigby case in particular, is that it's our governments have, for years now, allowed the Saudi Arabians, who are the main culprits in this, because they're the ones who have this strand of extremist, really fundamentalist Islam as their state religion. And they're the ones who poured, it's an estimated $2 billion every year into spreading Wahhabism worldwide. Wahhabism is the sort of the precursor, the detonator of all radical Islamist terrorism. And it's our governments, the Labour government and the Conservative government, under Cameron, still under Johnson, who are responsible for allowing the Saudis to fund half and more of the mosques and madrasas in Britain. And then they wonder why we get terrorism like Lee Rigby.
Well, it's crazy. I was reading a book the other day there that was written long time ago when Britain did have an empire, and it was chasing Wahhabism from a guy in the Pashtun Valley who went to Saudi Arabia, refined Wahhabism, and then took it back to northern India, Afghanistan, and all that. I read the book; it was very fascinating. And this is way back in the 1700s. So we do have a long experience of this, and again with the Mahdi's army, the Fuzzy Wuzzies and all that. It sounds funny name, but true. The Fuzzy Wuzzies and the whirling dervishes and all these people in Sudan, General Gordon. So we go back a long way with these people. So we do know what we're talking about, and it's just ridiculous. But I'll tell you what annoys me. Excuse me, Mr. Griffin. Every time we talk about these things, the comment section is always, I don't know if people think it's cool or it's a kind of buzzword. Islam's not a religion. It's an ideology. No, let me be really, really clear here, because I'm a religious man. Islam is a religion. It is a religion. I'm not saying it's the right religion, because obviously you know my opinion, and I can't say too much on here. But it is a religion. Get it into your heads. Islam is a religion. It's a universalist religion. It's an internationalist religion. They actually don't really recognise national borders, but it is a religion. You may think it acts like an ideology in certain ways, but look, there's no doubt about it. It is a religion. And to keep saying this, Islam's not a religion, actually does the cause harm, because it's like, well, there's if it was a religion, it'd be fine. No, there's a lot of religions that are not fine, that are bloodthirsty, that are deadly. So stop calling. It's like almost deflecting the blame. Another thing, Mr. Griffin, I get very annoyed about is people saying all Muslims are the same. It's like blaming a Protestant for IRA atrocities is to blame a Shia for something that Al Qaeda's doing. It's so ridiculous. And so ill-informed.
I actually put this in when I was moderating on Templar Report the other day, and I put a mention of this in for the people who were watching down in the comments section, that when I've been in Syria, I've had bodyguards and drivers in cars in very dangerous areas, and they've been there to protect my life if necessary by giving their own. And some of those men have not just been Muslims, they've been Sunni Muslims, and they're members of the Syrian army, and they fought and they've seen their mates die and they've been wounded fighting ISIS and Al Qaeda, who primarily were initially set up by the West, armed in the case of Syria by Barack Obama in Operation Timber Sycamore, the biggest gun-running operation in the whole of world history. Yeah. And yet these are ordinary Sunni Muslims. They're willing, if necessary, to die to keep me safe, and they've been fighting for years to keep their Christian neighbours and their Druze neighbours and all the rest of their neighbours safe as well, fighting Islamist extremists. So I, like you, I get very angry. I understand why people say they're all the same, because an awful lot of Zionist money and an awful lot of stupidity has gone into making them think that's the case, but it simply is not true. Yeah. Having said that, that does not mean that I'm in the line that Islam is a religion of peace, because the Islam of Saudi Arabia, which, as I said before, is the Islam in or funding at least half the mosques in Britain, is an Islam of world conquest.
War, yeah, I quite agree with you. Now, I know it's Lady Rotha there talking about Bill Warner. We know Bill Warner very well. He's been in our headquarters. I think it was it the Budapest headquarters? Budapest.
Yes.
Bill Warner was in Budapest. He's a great man and does some great work, but sadly, Bill's very much in with the Israel lobby. But he's a great man, and I'd say he's an expert on Wahhabism and the expansionism of Islam. Yeah, we spent a very nice afternoon in our headquarters in Budapest, and he came in, and we have stained glass doors, and one side of the door is the ancient Knights Templar with a sword from the medieval days, and on the other door it's a modern Templar with a modern Heckler Koch rifle. And he said, wow, I like you guys. This is the type of thing I like. Do you remember? He was a great old fella. So he's very knowledgeable, great man. But again, sadly, he's in with the wrong crowd at the moment. But he's a good man. Yeah, somebody's saying that Islam is a new religion, is it not? Well, what do you mean? It came in the 6th century. Most of Europe wasn't Christian until the 10th century. So, most of the Arab world were Muslims when most of the white northern European countries were still pagans, so I don't really know. It's 500-600 years younger than Christianity, but no, I don't go along the line it's a peace religion at all. But there's a huge difference, and you would not blame the Baptist Union for the Spanish Inquisition, and it really is that crazy and that off the wall when we just blanket all Muslims as being the same, and it detracts us from actually pinning down the ones that there's a problem with. And you know, Mr. Griffin, it's a criminal offence in this country to even praise or say anything good about the Hezbollah, despite the fact they've now got a brigade of Christians. And there wouldn't be a Christian alive today in Syria if it hadn't have been for the Army of God, or whatever they call themselves.
Yes.
That's a fact. That's the reality. But I don't even know by saying that I'm committing some kind of offence. So I don't know. I never praised them up. Who knows? We'll find out if my door goes in at 4 o'clock this morning.
Possibly so, but it is true. I'd like to say one thing on Hezbollah for our many American comrades and so on, because to an American who's perhaps only become really switched on in political terms in recent years, they might think back and, well, Hezbollah were the ones who blew up the Marine barracks in Lebanon. Yeah. And killed several hundred American soldiers, and I think, well, those bastards are terrorists. I have to say that if they'd done that in America, they'd have been terrorists. Hezbollah, in fact, has always said that attacking civilian targets is haram, is forbidden. But they did it against soldiers in Lebanon. The American soldiers were occupying a part of Lebanon, just as the British Army in the 18th century occupied parts of the United States. And I'm sure all American patriots feel and believe that it was right for the Americans to use violence to kick the Brits out. So they should see it from the point of view of the Lebanese, who have an occupying foreign army, which has helped to bring civil war to their country. So that isn't an act of terrorism, that was an act of war. And obviously one's heart goes out to the families who lost their boys in that war, but their boys shouldn't have been in the Lebanon any more than our boys should ever have been in Iraq or Afghanistan. Those aren't our countries to independence.
I agree with you. I mean, I had a reporter from the Daily Record, a Scottish rag newspaper, calling me a racist because I don't want all these people coming here. And I looked into his background. He was a soldier in Iraq. I said, hold on a minute. You know, I'm telling brown people to go home. You went to their home and killed them and bombed them and shot them, and I'm the racist? Really? Ridiculous. But I get your point, and that's the problem. You know, when our soldiers get blown up and whatnot in other people's countries, you've got to try and reverse the roles. If you had thousands and thousands of Egyptian soldiers on the streets of London or Baltimore or New York, of course we'd be attacking them, because that's their country. Why are we there? So yeah, it's very difficult, and my heart goes out to people. Now, somebody's asking in the chat there, well, two things. Somebody said there, the moon god. Yeah, it's true. Allah is the old name for the moon god, but it goes back further than that. Dagon, there's lots of things the Philistines and different people had. But Allah, and if you go into the Kabbalah, that thing they all walk around, in the middle of that is a black stone, an idol. It's an idol because that was the name of the Arab god before Islam came along. So they just basically refined the religion they already had, and away they went. So you're quite right. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. But again, you've got to be careful with these things, because remember, we celebrate Easter. That's Esther, the old pagan god as well. And we do quite a lot of that kind of stuff. But somebody's asking there, now you'll be more fit to answer this than me. People are asking, what do you think of President Assad? Now, you've been there in the palace and all that stuff over in, where is it, Damascus? How would you answer that? How would you answer that?
That Assad is one of the great heroes of the 21st century. He's a most remarkable man. He was an eye doctor. He was never in London. He was never expecting to be president. That was going to be his older brother. His father died of cancer. His older brother was killed, and he steps into that position. And he's been immensely brave, a tremendous leader. And he was elected as the leader of his country, and he's always run it as a secular country. So it's based on religious values, but it's a secular country where everyone, Christian, Sunni, Shia, Druze, all the rest, dozens of different sects, they are all part of that society. And the only thing he's ever done, basically, which has caused problems, is he insists that people get along and to defend his country against a large minority of the Sunni minority who follow the extremist strand of Sunni Wahhabist religion, and believe that it's a sin for them to live in a society where non-Sunni Muslims are tolerated unless they surrender abjectly, pay the jizya tax, and all the rest of it. So, for standing up for secular values and the rights of all peoples, including the Christian minority, who are the original people and the original religion, of course, in Syria, he's a tremendous man.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. And of course, this is going to sound a very strange show to people possibly in America, Australia, and whatnot. They've had all that kind of Tommy Robinson right wing, kosher right wing. It's going to sound strange to them. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, Nick's been to Syria several times. He's been in the palace, he's met heads of state, he's done all that stuff. Templars have been out there fighting. Templars have been out there rebuilding. We've got a big connection to the Middle East, so we're not talking nonsense. We've actually been there. It's not as if this is somebody on YouTube just telling you what their opinion is. Our people have been there on the ground. And the reality is that Syria is a sovereign nation. We cannot just go about replacing people we don't like because they maybe favour Russia rather than the West, much as it may irk us. It is a sovereign nation. We have no right inflicting regime change on people just because we can, because we're militarily more powerful than them. And let's be honest, the West got its backside handed to it in Syria because the Russians came in, and there's a huge climb down. But never forget, ISIS were turned from a terror outfit into an army because Britain and America put field artillery in the hands of terrorists. It's never happened in the history of the world. Terrorists got their hand on long-range field artillery. They took the town of Mosul, a town of 1 million people, most of them Christians. ISIS took that town from 17 miles away because they shelled it with the guns so kindly supplied to them by the Americans and the British. And that place ended up a bloodbath, and people were beheaded every day of the week because we gave terrorists long-range guns to try and use on Assad. They said, thank you very much, turned the guns round and went on a rampage. So I don't know when we're going to learn, Mr. Griffin, but the West doesn't seem to learn. We just keep doing the same thing.
Never seems to learn. Can I just say one more thing about one of my times in Damascus? For people who might be thinking, well, have they been swallowing propaganda from the regime or whatever? No, when I'm in Damascus, I've been completely free to travel around. They said, be a bit careful, but take an official taxi only if you want to take a taxi from the hotel down into town. You can go down there. You don't even need bodyguards. This was a couple of years ago now in Damascus. Don't even need bodyguards. And myself and several colleagues went down to the Christian quarter in the old city of Damascus one Sunday, just walked around. We were free to go anywhere we wanted, and we did so. And we passed by a number of churches, a Greek Orthodox church, an Assyrian church, a Catholic church, and even an Anglican church. And we ended up talking at each of these to members of the congregation and to the Anglican priest as well. And all of them told us the same thing. Assad is not one of us, but he's our hero. It's wonderful to see you here. It's wonderful that some people understand what's really going on in Syria. But why on earth are your governments backing these Islamist terrorist murderers?
Yeah, it's utterly bizarre. And our good brother George, we call him George, it's not his real name. He's an Egyptian Coptic Christian. I mean, I've never met a man of such faith, and it was his church that a few years ago the Muslim extremists went in Easter and went into this because they separated the boys and the girls out, and they went in. Rashad, that's his name, and they went in and sat in the side of the church with all the children and the women, and detonated a massive bomb. There's a film of it, and you see the whole cathedral roof just lifting up, and hundreds were killed. But the men were on the street singing the Lord's the creed, chanting the creed, and they said, we will die, we will drown in our blood, we will defend the church, we will defend Christ. All of us will die, but we will never give up the faith. People in the West need to take a lesson from that. These are tough hombres, and all of them fanatically screaming that they will die rather than give up the faith. And I think until the West gets a wee taste of that, we don't really understand what we're doing. It's quite strange. But there you go. Let me just see some things. It's terrible. But yeah, Assad, I think he's a good guy. Mr. Griffin's been there. He says he's a good guy. I take his word for it. Now I've got to do a wee bit. Just bear with me. I've got to do a QVC now, Mr. Griffin. I get told off if I don't. I don't know what I'm doing, but what am I trying to do today? personal. I'm going to show you that there was a few folk put in yesterday for those big, lovely. Did you see those big family Bibles, Mr. Griffin?
I did. Yeah, fantastic looking things.
It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. 10 times better than we thought. But we've also got the best personal Bible that money can buy. It's the best that the Cambridge people do. It's the top of the range. There's nothing better. There's not another bracket. This is it. And we got it at a brilliant deal. So we can offer it to our people cheaper than they can get it out of any shop. It's a beautiful calf skin Bible. They're all getting stamped at the moment. The paper in it is unbelievable. It's this new style of paper. It's fantastic. The quality is amazing. So the brother's going to put it up and put a link on it. And again, because of the lockdown and people are maybe feeling the pinch financially, we've made this available in payments. It's about $180, but we've also split it into payments so people can get their hands on this. But you'll never buy another Bible. This is the best personal Bible that you can get, bar none. You couldn't humph that other one about, Mr. Griffin. I don't know if you see me in the show yesterday. I could hardly lift it.
I did, yes.
It's like £12 or something. It's very heavy. So the personal Bible's there. I would strongly advise anybody, if they want one, get them now. Sign up for the payment plan. No problem at all. We're not here to make money on these. We're here to get these into your hands and hopefully rekindle your desire to read God's holy word. And I hope it works and I hope it's successful. It'll do the world a good. Now, remember, I always get told off. Like the video, click subscribe, press the bell, comment below, and share. Share this on all your other social media platforms. It would really help out. Facebook, I try no Facebook. Facebook's no good, and they don't like us. Yes, VK. We're on VK. Look below us. VK. Sign into VK. Get onto VK. I don't know how many people have done it yet. I don't think an awful lot, but get onto VK. We're all over there. Mr. Griffin's over on VK. Jada Franson's over on VK. Everybody's over there. There's some undesirables over there, but don't worry about them. And Telegram. Yeah, Telegram. Very important. Mr. Griffin's over there. Jada Franson's over there. We're over there. So you need to, because listen, I'm telling you right now, YouTube won't last long for anybody. This is where everybody went to. Soon they're going to take out YouTube. I can see it coming. So let me see what we've got here. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Mr. Griffin, obviously this is a sad day. We remember Lee Rigby. We remember his family. We remember all those who perished in the concert, the I don't know what her name is. Who? Ariana Grande concert. Sorry. All the poor kids and people who lost their lives. I mean, parents were there with their children and watched their children die. I can't believe such horror. And that's why I resent people coming to me and saying the Templars need to do more to wake people up. Who the hell's not awake already? There's bodies all over Britain. There's been bombs all over the place. Who's not awake? They're awake. They're just cowards. They don't want to do nothing. So it doesn't matter how loud I shout at them or how loud Mr. Griffin shouts at them. They are fully awake. They're just sitting in their house, craven cowards who'll do nothing. And that's, I don't know, is that too strong, Mr. Griffin?
No, I don't think so. And certainly for a lot of the people saying, oh, you should be doing something and so on, if you actually ask what have they been doing? Oh, I've been working hard in this cause for 2 years or 3 years. Well, fair play. They got involved. They've been doing it for 3 years. Good. Well, you were doing it since you were a boy in your field. I've been doing it since I was 15 as well. And we've been doing it for a long, long time. And coming back to the Lee Rigby issue, shortly after that atrocity, I got involved in doing research into what was going on, encouraging young men in London to convert to this radical form of Islam and then to go on the escalator to terrorism. And if you remember, Jim, I did a full report, which we put out in 6 sections, it was so long, about how the atmosphere in which Lee Rigby's killers were radicalised and so on was quite open going on in in London, with the radical extremists, all of them, using council properties in North London, mainly in Islington. So this is the Labour Party encouraging and assisting these proto-terrorist teachers. And we put a whole report together, sent it to the police and so on, found all sorts of things. Just as an example, we found that the killers had been training in a sort of martial arts, which includes the use of cleavage, very like the one which was actually used
Let's see that. Let's see that comment.
to actually repeat the death.
It's off the screen.
And the two killers were going to this mosque. They were taking part in these martial arts classes, and even after the killing, these martial arts classes continued, and the police refused to shut them down. And even 2 years later, all they'd done in this mosque was they changed it from the heading on their advertising from martial arts to keep fit classes, but they were still teaching the same things. And we repeatedly challenged the authorities, and especially the Metropolitan Police, to act on the huge dossier of evidence that we produced, connecting all these people together, and they simply refused to take any action at all.
Yep.
But remember, we did that in 2013. By doing so, because it was a really effective, in-depth dossier, we put ourselves in the frame for those radical Muslim extremists as an effective opponent of theirs. So we were there 7 years ago. Doing things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. And there's actual videos of Jada Franson actually confronting some of these guys in this gang who killed these people. She's actually confronting them and they're doing this to her. We're going to cut your head off. She's actually in fighting with them, physically fighting. I don't mean yap, yap, yap. I mean physically fighting with them. That's why I like that woman. Who does that? The most dangerous jihadis in the whole of Western Europe or the Western sphere, and she's toe-to-toe with them on the street, fighting with them. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Good stuff. Now, I seen somebody there, strange thing. You might think this is a bit controversial. I don't know, Mr. Griffin. But there's a man there, a good guy, Mr. Taylor, who put a comment up there saying at 8 o'clock everybody should go out and clap the NHS. Well, I know, Nick, your wife is in the NHS, and I mean her no disrespect. But no, I won't be clapping at 8 o'clock for the NHS. Because some of my neighbours are in the NHS and they're telling me the hospitals are empty. I know for a fact the hospitals are empty. All the Nightingales have been shut down. Our local hospital, which is the biggest in the country, is closed down and there's 11 people in it. So folk are dropping dead with heart attacks. Kids with cancer are dying. All of this stuff. People are dying in their thousands because these hospitals are locked down for a non-existent virus called COVID-19. But who's going along with it? The NHS staff. And some of them have actually came to me and said they feel as if they've got stolen honour, stolen valour. They feel as if they're wearing fake badges and everybody's embarrassing them by clapping because they know it's baloney. So don't clap for them. And the ones who are giving it, oh yes, thank you, clap me, I'm a big hero, they're deceiving you. They're liars and they're wearing fake medals that they have no right wearing. There is no COVID-19 pandemic. There are no tens of thousands of people dying any more than any other time usual. This is a freak, this is a fraud, and people are going along with it. So the last thing we need to be doing is encouraging them by clapping them. No, sorry, count me out, I won't be clapping them, no way.
Yeah, I'd say it's also condescending. If the public really valued the nurses and the government really valued the nurses, then at some stage in the last 10 or 15 years, they would have given them a pay rise above the rate of inflation. And they never have, so they've taken a real pay cut every single year. That's the reality. Yeah. So getting out and clapping about it may sour people's consciences. It doesn't actually help. If you want to support the nurses, push that they get a decent pay rise. And as you say, in any case, the whole thing, I don't think even Dr. Goebbels ever came up with any piece of propaganda as grotesque and as brilliantly as effective and manipulative as the two in 1984. It's the 2-minute hate, and this is the 2-minute clap. It's absolutely quite grotesque. Nonsense. I can understand decent people saying that's a good thing. I'll go along with that. Good neighbours of mine, they're into it as well. I understand where it comes from, but it's entirely wrong, and it's helping the government to keep this monstrosity going. And as a result of helping the government to keep this lockdown going, it is going to kill tens of thousands of people every single year for the next 10 or 15 years. That's the reality.
And I just want to correct that Mr. Taylor was actually meaning, why doesn't everybody go to 8 o'clock tonight and clap for 10 minutes for Lee Rigby instead of the NHS? Great idea, sir. God bless you, Mr. Taylor. You're 100% right. But I stand by my comments regarding the NHS. And let's also remember, it's the very same NHS people, nice people with their blue uniforms who have killed 11 million babies in British hospitals. So I ain't clapping for them. If I had my way, they'd be hanging out from a rope, because it's like the people when they liberated Belsen in Buchenwald and Auschwitz, the guard said, wasn't my fault, I was just doing my job. That's what these people in the NHS say. Oh, I've got to go along with abortions, it's my job. Get another job. I wouldn't go and start a job killing babies. Not a chance. It's a ludicrous thing. And it's just the same as those people who worked in those camps saying, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me, I only follow orders. No, it's not good enough. And they're also following orders in these hospitals today, Mr. Griffin. I don't know if you know this, but they're writing down anybody who comes into hospital and dies. They could have a bullet wound in their skull. COVID related. Everything's COVID related. You can be run over by a steamroller. You can be as thin as a piece of paper. COVID related. And they're doing that. So, It's not good enough. It's not. And I know you're a good lady who's a fine woman, works in the NHS. I know she wouldn't be doing any of that nonsense. But it's a terrible burden on some of the younger, inexperienced nurses who feel pressurised to do that. Because I'm quite sure their careers will be harmed if they blow the whistle or refuse to do it.
And of course, because they're young and inexperienced, they haven't been through a previous epidemic of a respiratory disease like a flu like this. And they haven't seen that actually, especially when it gets into a nursing home with old people, it kills a lot of people.
Yeah.
So they didn't know that.
No, it's
and when you then get their health service bosses acting on government orders, acting on World Health Organization orders or advice to put people suffering from COVID out of hospitals, empty the hospitals in case there's a huge wave of people really needing to go there, send them to the nursing homes. So inadvertently, they're accessories to it's manslaughter. Simple as that. Is. But you can't blame them for that because they're very inexperienced. But you can blame the senior medical staff and the government, who must by now, they obviously know that this is, as you say, a basically hoax pandemic, and they're going along with it. I'll give you one example of how they're distorting the figures. Very specific. The new death certificate that's out there for use in Britain now has a box for COVID death, whether it's proven or whether it's suspected. If it goes down as suspected, then that goes into the figures. And they're told in nursing homes, this is the doctors registering, that one of the symptoms of COVID is difficulty breathing. So if someone's had difficulty breathing when they're dying, you have to put down that it's suspected COVID.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if you've ever seen, as you have, I know, Joe, but everyone who's seen most people dying, before they're dying, they're gasping. That's part of the process.
That's what gets you. That's the bit that gets you. It's the struggling and stopping breathing. That's the thing that kills you ultimately. Doesn't matter what you've got. It's when you stop breathing, that's the end. I know what you're saying. It's so ridiculous. Now, I'm just going to ask the brother to throw up, because it's the weekend coming, and a few folk have asked. I'm going to put up a link to the Warrior package, and this is where you get these things. People keep asking me, where do you get these? They're in the Warrior package. These are relatively inexpensive. These are good. I don't even know if you've seen these, Mr. Griffin. They're solid.
I have, yes.
No Warrior package. I mean the Armoury. I beg your pardon. I'm getting old. I'm getting tired. These are in the Armoury. All the shields are in there. And by the way, the shields are back in stock. Brilliant. So you can get one of these wee things for your desk, a letter opener. They're quite nice. They're very, very good quality, and they're just fantastic. That is a replica. That sword is a replica of this sword. You see? It's the same. Small version. Same pummel, same intricacy in the handle. So, go into there to the Armoury and get yourself sorted out. There's battle axes, there's knives, there's swords, there's this beautiful wee thing. And that'll be great. So, sorry about that, Mr. Griffin. I've got to do my QVC thing now and again, because obviously, we're trying to keep that wee place in Spain fully functioning, fully laden with orders, and we've done that, and I want to thank our people for doing that. Your orders are keeping a family-run, very ancient Forge Masters business still open in Spain, and for that, I thank you. And the gentleman in Spain, Martin, he thanks you also. So God bless each and every one of you. Mr. Griffin, we're going to wrap it up for today and see where we're going. But I like everybody in here. I don't see anybody. Yep, I see. Yep, good. Everybody's dusted their leather out and come with a mini belt. No, thankfully. Those belts are like a conundrum, aren't they? But anything else you'd like to finish on, Mr. Griffin?
Just one more bit of COVID stuff for you, Jim, perhaps. A report by Italy's National Institute of Health It's actually reported in the Telegraph on March the 24th. So again, this is quite old. But the Professor Walter Ricciardi, scientific advisor to the health minister in Italy, said that they've re-evaluated, the Ministry of Health has re-evaluated all the cases. And when they stripped out the people who died of COVID, as opposed to the ones who died with COVID, they've realised they'd overestimated the death toll by 88%.
Wow.
And it'll be the same in Britain,
Yep.
guaranteed.
I rest my case. Well, as usual, I want to thank you, Mr. Griffin, for coming on the show. God bless you. We'll get you on again maybe next week. It'll be great. So from behalf of the Templars here at HQ, thanks, Nick, for coming on, and great job as usual, and we'll see you again. God bless you.
See you again.
Okay, folks, I need to wind this up because I've run over time again, but I thoroughly enjoyed that talk from Mr. Griffin because, unlike most people, he's been there, he's seen it, he knows these people personally. So like the video, click subscribe, press the bell, comment below. That's all from me. I hope you join me on the Sunday service the same time, and until then, if God comes or calls, I'll be there, God willing, of course. So until then, remember, I want you to have a lovely Friday and a lovely Saturday, and remember, stick close to God. You won't go far wrong. Death Vault.
The threat is real, and we are on the front line. In a world of misinformation and attacks from the left and mainstream media, censorship, deplatforming, it is time to call out the fake news and bring you the truth. We are the Knights Templar. Visit our website and join today. We are the Resistance. Deus Vult.